Hello there, my Zaniacs. Welcome to a story time. Now, I titled it myself now. I didn't title it back then, so that it's just basic kind of title. It kind of fits. According to what my mother says, this was written before my 7th birthday, and I wrote out this whole story while I was in bed with strep throat. So, I did the best I could. My handwriting back then was not exactly the best, and you'll see that as I read, but I did my best to type out what it looked like I had written. And if I get anything wrong, then blame my 7-year-old self. Okay, so the kids in room 207 were misbehaving again. Spitballs stuck to the ceiling, paper planes whizzed through the air. They were the worst behaved class in the whole school. "Now settle down," Miss Nelson said in a sweet voice. But the class would not settle down. They whispered and giggled. They squirmed and made faces. They were even rude during story hour, and they always refused to do their lessons. "Something will have to be done," said Miss Nelson. The next day, Miss Nelson did not come to school. "Wow!" yelled the kids. "Now we can really act up." They began to make more spitballs and paper planes to play. "Let's be terrible," they said. "Not so fast," hissed an unpleasant voice. A woman in an ugly black dress stood before them. "I am your new teacher, Miss Viola Swamp," and she rapped. "Where's Miss Nelson?" asked the kids. "Never mind that," snapped Miss Swamp. "Open those arithmetic books." Miss Nelson's kids did as they were told. They could see that Miss Swamp was a real witch. She meant business. Right away, she put them to work as she loaded them down with homework. "We'll have no story today, however," said Miss Swamp. "Keep your mouth shut," said Miss Swamp. "Sit perfectly still," said Miss Swamp. "And if you misbehave, you'll be sorry," said Miss Swamp. The kids in room 207 had never worked so hard. Days went by and there was no sign of Miss Nelson. The kids missed Miss Nelson. "Maybe we should try to find her," they said. Some of them went to the police. Detective Mick Smog was assigned to the case. He listened to their story. He scratched his chin. He said. I think Miss Nelson is missing." Detective Mick Smog would not be so much help. Other kids went to Miss Nelson's house. The shades were tightly drawn and no one answered the door. In fact, the only person they did see was the weird Miss Viola Swamp coming up the street. "If she sees us, well, she'll give us more homework." They got away just in time. "Maybe something terrible happened to Miss Nelson. Maybe she was gored up by a shark," said one of the kids. But that didn't seem likely. "Maybe Miss Nelson went to Mars," but that didn't seem likely either. "I know," exclaimed one know-it-all. "Maybe Miss Nelson's car was carted off by a gray butterfly. That was the likely of all the bids in hand. They would be taken with Miss Viola Swamp. They heard footsteps with them. Bad sentence here. "Here comes the with them whispered." "Hello, children," someone said in a sweet voice. It was Miss Nelson. "Did you miss me?" she asked. "We certainly did," cried all the kids. "Where were you?" "That's my little secret," said Miss Nelson. "How about a story hour?" "Oh!" cried the children. Miss Nelson noticed that during story hour no one was rude or silly. "What brought this lovely change?" she said. "That's our secret," said the kids. Back home, Miss Nelson took off her coat and hung it right next to a ugly black dress. When it was time for bed, she sang a little song. "I'll never tell," she said to herself with a smile. "P.S. Detective McSmog is working on a new case. He's now looking for Miss Viola's swamp." Gee, I wonder whose black dress that was. At any rate, I hope you all have enjoyed the tiny story that I wrote when I was almost 7. And reading it now, I'm actually surprised I did that well. And I'm pretty sure that some of the bigger words like arithmetic, snapped, uh, business, even though I spelled things incorrectly, I'm pretty sure my mom was a big help there, being a English major. So, so you all have a good one, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.